Welcome to Seriously Uncork Yourself. I am your host, Lynn Kuhn, and this is a podcast that brings to you a firsthand look at what it seriously means to meet people where they are in their life. Enjoy the experience from illusions to reality. Find out what it is to restore to high performance, renew your freedoms, and rejuvenate playfulness. I can't wait to share with you my experience and the experiences of many others in hopes that you feel inspired to renew yourself and live your best life. Thanks for listening. Now let's get started. Welcome. I am just so excited today and honored to have my special guest, Dr. Kathleen Wright-Knothe, on my brand new podcast, Seriously Uncork Yourself. And I really appreciate you, Kathleen, Dr. Kathleen, for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to be on today with us. And just a little bit about Dr. Kathleen is she is a psychologist and a certified high performance coach. She is on a mission to help people be happy and healthy and have meaning and purpose in what they do for a living. Her spirit animal is an eagle because an eagle sees the big picture and is empowered. So how cool is that? So welcome, Kathleen. How are you?
Thank you for inviting me to do this. It was very kind.
I am so excited that you are here. And what I'd love for you to do is tell our audience a little bit more about yourself.
I live in upstate New York. I'm from Michigan. I have 3 adult children, which I've replaced with 3 dogs. And I've been a psychologist for over 30 years and am doing a career pivot so that I can help more people and have a bigger impact.
Cool. I love that. And so today, what we're going to talk about, the title of our podcast is How to Master Your Psychological Wellbeing. And what does that exactly mean? What does that mean, Kathleen, to go ahead and master your psychological well-being?
Well, we can never have perfect control. We're not machines, not robots, but we can have quite a bit of influence. And some people feel like their emotions kind of run around on them, and some people seem kind of flat and they're not really feeling much. And so, but it's more common that people don't feel like they have enough influence over their psychological state and going to bad habits instead of healthy ways of feeling good. And nobody's going to be feeling good all the time. If you felt good all the time, you wouldn't really be motivated to do anything.
So that's true. No.
Yeah. So, and nobody's happy all the time. That would not be healthy, actually, to be happy all the time, because the way life is, there's bumps in the road, and to be able to ride the waves of those bumps.
That is so true. So what do you do then so everybody has bad habits. I mean, we all do, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody that doesn't have bad habits. So what do you suggest to take those bad habits and to replace them, and how to do that? Like, do you just all of a sudden wake up one day and think, okay, I really have this bad habit, I'm just going to get rid of it? That usually doesn't happen, right? So what are your steps? What do you do? How do you replace the bad habits with the good habit?
Well, it seems from research that having a gradual approach is what works. And there's 2 books that are recently published that really speak to that. There's Tiny Habits by B.J. Fogg, which is awesome. And he's a researcher and teaches at Stanford University and teaches what he knows to a lot of businesses. And it says Tiny Habits. And the subtitle of that book is This Book Will Change Your Life. And so he's talking about making tiny changes, like crazy things like, when I make my coffee, I'm going to do 10 air squats in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Tiny things. And then you build on it. And there's Atomic Habits by James Clear is another recent book. And again, there's a lot in that book, but he's talking about making small changes. And when people typically, not always, go and think they're going to make a gigantic change and they're going to stay that way, it usually doesn't work out that well. So to learn what are good habits to have, like having a really awesome morning routine. And of course, I know that your morning actually starts the night before in preparing to sleep and and winding down and having a good sleep schedule. So especially a good morning routine and a good evening routine is huge. And there's a lot written about things to do, like meditation. Most people will do that and do well. There's a lot of choices there. I have my biases there, and doing some reading and exercising tends to be best in the morning, and some writing, journaling are good habits, and not looking at your phone until you're done with your morning routine. And stop. And
I'm laughing at that one. I'm so bad. I am so guilty, big time guilty with the phone. It's just like, I mean, yeah, because it's like you pick the phone up and the first thing I do is I always like play this game with myself. If I wake up like a minute, like before the alarm goes off, it's just like, I want to know if my brain is like working to wake me up at a certain time, even with the time change yesterday. So as soon as I do that, then it's like, I gotta see if, and it's so, see who's called or see if there's any messages. And that is so important.
Yes.
To do that.
Yep.
That is really
every high performance expert says that. Do not look at your phone until you're done with your morning routine.
It's so true. It's so true. And so, okay, let's go back up a little bit, like meditation. What do you suggest? Because I'm not good at meditation. What do you do?
Well, there's what many people know about are the guided meditations, and there's some really good apps. My favorite is called the Simple Habit app. And it's like Spotify for meditation, but most of what's on there is a variety. And so you could put in gratitude, or you could put in stressful day, and it'll come up with a guided meditation. And it's an unbelievable number of choices and awesome meditation teachers. But those are they're helpful, but they're not the wow stuff. Mm-hmm. And what I think is the most time efficient and doable is mantra meditation. And what a mantra is a mind vehicle. And the teacher that I learned from was Emily Fletcher, who wrote the book Stress Less, Accomplish More. And she recommends that you pick a word that is in Sanskrit that you just like how it sounds. Doesn't matter what it means, but you just like how it sounds. And you just repeat it in your mind over and over, and because your mind will wander. And then when your mind wanders, you just bring it back to your mantra. And it is not true that you're supposed to be clearing your mind. And even Emily Fletcher, she's been doing this for, I think, 10, 13 years, something like that. Sometimes she says, my mind goes somewhere else many times, but that doesn't make it a bad meditation. And this is very research-based, that it's about 15 minutes twice a day. And it makes you about 30% more productive, and it makes you about 30% more creative, and you just handle stress better without even having to try, which is awesome. It has about a 90-some% success rate in fixing sleep problems, which is awesome. And so the first meditation is, it gets rid of current stress, basically. So in a day you have 10 units of stress. And getting a decent night's sleep takes away 7 units of stress. And the first meditation in the morning gets rid of 3. Now you're at 0 stress. And then when you do the second meditation, if you have excess stress for whatever reason, it takes off that extra stress. And if you don't, it takes away past stress. So it takes a little chunk out of your past stress, because we all have baggage. We all have stuff from the past. So it's actually clearing your trauma. There's big trauma and little trauma. And Emily has an online class called Ziva, Z-I-V-A, and Ziva means bliss in Sanskrit. And it's reasonably priced. And that's what I did. And it was awesome. It was really awesome. It's been a game changer for me, and almost every CEO meditates. But I think there's other methods, but and Emily had presented a ridiculous amount of research in her book. There was another psychologist, John Kabat-Zinn, who does a body scan, but that's 50 minutes, 60 minutes, and I know I'm not going to do that. I know myself, I'm just not going to do that at one time. And so about 15 minutes twice a day, I can do that.
Yeah, that's not, so you can do it more than once during a day, right? So
that's the recommendation, twice a day.
Twice a day.
Yeah,
Okay.
once as soon as possible after you wake up in the morning. And the second time is sometime before dinner.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea because then you can get rid of more stress, right? That you picked up during the day.
Yeah. Well, if you wait till after dinner, your body's digesting food and the meditation isn't as effective. And if you do it too late, then it's like taking a really good nap and then you won't sleep so good.
Okay. So when you get up in the morning, so you do your meditation and then you get ready or do you start your exercise? I know you like to walk a lot. So do you go out and do your exercising or when do you do that then? Or do you just start into your work day? How do you manage that part of your day?
I do the meditation. And another thing I do that a lot of people don't know, I took a class on energy medicine with Donna Eden at I'm drawing a blank on the name. It's a holistic center in New York. And Donna Eden developed this field of energy medicine. It's called the daily energy routine. It takes about 5 minutes to do. And it just makes you feel really good and energized. There's a lot of, my favorite is Prune Harris is one of Donna Eden's students. It's Harris. And there's these lovely little video on YouTube. But I know how to do it now. I don't need to do it with the video. And then as soon as it gets light outside now, I go for exercise with my dogs and they get to run free and I walk and jog and that's really good for your sleep too, is to get out in natural light in the morning and start your day off right. And I do my best to make time to do an exercise video at home. I was going to a gym at 5:15 in the morning before, but right now I don't really want to go to a gym. I don't want to wear a mask and go to the gym right now.
No. Mm-hmm.
And then I do Roger Love's vocal warm-ups. It's another thing to warm up my voice and get it, but improve it over time. And then I pretty much start my workday. Yep.
Wow. So you really have it down pat, huh?
Well, I got my high performance planner. I do that.
So you journal during the morning or do you journal at night in the morning?
Both. Because the high performance planner has Brenda Burchard's high performance planner. So I do that in the morning and it's planning your day plus a structured journaling thing. And again, as part of my bedtime routine.
Right. Because I know with me getting up for work so early, I had to, improvise and do my journaling mostly all at night. And then once I got back home from work, I'd finish it out. And that worked out really well because when I was off, it seemed to be, I liked it better doing it all in the morning. But then with getting up at 4 to go to work, and then I'd have to get up that much earlier. And I think I'm getting up early enough now. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would do. So I come back home at night and it was really nice too. And I never even thought about doing another meditation at night. I think that's really important. I love that. I really do, because when you get home, like with me, when I get home, I am pretty well stressed out again. It seems like all that stress starts building back up during the day. So, before you eat, and then go ahead and do that meditation. And I think that's really huge. Thank you for that one. That's really awesome. And then as far as what do you do as far as like self-talking to yourself? Do you tell yourself certain things during the day to keep your energy levels up? And how do you work that all into your schedule?
Well, I've been working on my self-talk for so many years. It's kind of automatic. So I
part of your job, huh?
Well, yeah, totally my job. So when bumps in the road happen and it's important to acknowledge the negative thoughts and to speak your truth, so to speak. And, to acknowledge that, but not get stuck there. It might be you swear for a little bit and call names, whatever in your head, or maybe write it down, but that you can have your little tantrum in your head and that's okay. Speak your truth. And then, but if you hold on to it, I did one of my favorite quotes, I think from Gandhi, is anger is kind of like poison and drinking it yourself and expecting someone else to die.
That's good. I love that. That is really good. Yeah. I haven't heard that one.
And so to ask yourself, what is it about this thing that's upsetting me so much? To try to figure it out. What is it about it? If it touches something from in the past that you don't sit with very well, and also to cut people a break. Often people are doing the best they can, and somebody can be in a bad mood. Maybe they didn't sleep well last night. Maybe something really bad happened. Maybe they're depressed and they're crabby. If you knew their whole story, maybe you would understand. And usually you would. And sometimes people are extremely self-centered or not nice people in general. They do exist. So, but most people are doing the best they can. If you knew what was going on, you'd say, okay, it still does. It's an explanation, not an excuse. If it was usually a people thing that gets upsetting, but just working on your thoughts and in your head doesn't work as well as out loud if nobody's around, so nobody thinks you're crazy, because we can think so fast. And when we're in our head, we tend to go more to the negative. And so talking out loud and trying to look at a different perspective or writing it down. And again, there's a place for speaking your truth, and just whatever comes out, you write on the paper. And then at another point or afterward is to put down another perspective that's helpful. That's not Pollyannish kind of thinking, but to consciously work on your thoughts. And you don't do that all the time. And one thing I tell people frequently is you cannot control the thoughts that enter your mind, but you can choose which thoughts you feed into. So most people can identify what's crappy thinking.
Right.
You say, okay, this isn't good. And I choose to let it go, not block it out. Blocking thoughts does not work. It just doesn't work. Research shows that like crazy. But a letting go, and maybe you're just going to pay attention to what you're doing in the moment to refocus, or maybe you're on purpose going to say, maybe that person's just, someone's driving really badly. Well, maybe that person, they're late to pick their kid up and they're really concerned about that. You don't know what's going on. And so you on purpose have compassionate thoughts. So you actively work on them in that way. Yes, you are not your mind. You are not your thoughts.
Okay, so
thoughts.
So that's probably a good thing for me. But I was thinking with the pandemic. Okay, so I know that's on everybody's mind, and a lot of people are at home. A lot of people right now are putting on more hats than they had before, especially with children being home. And, 1 week you're getting them in school, the next week you're getting them back, and then you're trying to do your job, and you have the children at home. And I know that I don't have the kids at home anymore. But I put myself in their position a lot of times thinking, that one of them may have to be going to their job, and then all of a sudden last minute, the school just, put out a message that somebody's got the COVID. So we got to, stay home for a certain amount of days. And then, okay, now what do I do with their kids? Because now they're back at home, and I know that a lot of people are having a lot of problems trying to manage everything, and there is a lot of stress. So what other suggestion do you tell people, like in their normal daily lives? Like what do you do? Because I know that they're saying there's a lot of rampant with like suicide and everything because of all this and closing down and, not getting out. And I know we talked about, going out for walks and all that. But when you have kids at home, and if your husband, let's say he still, has to go to work, and you're at home with all the children, and now you're trying to get your job done, what other kind of good habits could people put in to get rid of a lot of the frustration and anxiety that's going on?
Well, I think that keeping things in perspective is really helpful.
Right.
This isn't going to go on for years and years, and to look at anything good that's come out of it. For example, many families have spent a heck of a lot of more time together, and it's been kind of good. And so being able to spend more time with your children because you got to stay home with them more, that can be a good thing. And self-care is huge, that you don't just drop everything all the time for your kids because you're kind of shaping them up to be self-centered if you do that. You've got to take care to do what you need to do to take care of yourself and get out of the house and off your property every day. Do not stay in your house. It's like being under house arrest. And I noticed so many more people going out for walks with their family and walking their dogs and stuff. So that's just some really awesome stuff that comes out of sucky situations. And so being grateful for that, the good that comes out of it. And I remember without a pandemic, when my kids were little, sometimes I would have to go into my bedroom and shut the door for a few minutes and take some deep breaths so I didn't lose my temper. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're really, and it's only so many times that you can hear mommy or somebody's having a tantrum or whatever. That, sometimes you got to do that just for a minute or two, just to close your eyes and take 10 deep breaths, shut the door as long as they're safe, and do things like that, and ask for help from people who can help you. To accept help is good.
I think that's huge. I think a lot of times we, as moms, we think that we have to do everything ourselves, and we're afraid to ask for help because I used to feel that way a lot because I felt like I was, imposing on somebody else, or then I felt like I should be able to do all this. It's like, and I don't want to ask. And I think that's huge, Dr. Kathleen, that it is. It's just so important to ask people for help. And I think a lot, like I said, I just think a lot of times we just don't do that. And I think that is
your spouse.
Yeah, that's true too, is getting the guys in action, right? And there are a lot of guys that do. I know that there's a lot of reversal roles too. So I think sometimes, because the era that I grew up in, and it was mainly that, we were always responsible. Like we used to have, both be working, but whose responsibility was it to make sure that the kids were all taken care of? But I think as times grow, keep on going forward, that the guys, I believe the guys are really getting more involved. I know my son-in-laws are a lot more involved. And back to what you were talking about a little bit before with the kids and stuff, what I noticed is the time spent with the children that I wouldn't have before. Because I would be, working, and then with all this that, with this pandemic going on, when getting to spend more time with the kids is very enjoyable. And it's a time that, I look at it like we may never have had that if it wasn't for this. I mean, I know there's certain things that you come out of because you're growing from the certain circumstances. And then like you were saying, with, learning to go ahead and get that, that routine going and, to move forward. But then a lot of good things have happened too. And I'm glad that you said that, because it's not all, gloom and doom. And, we are moving forward as a society that, we can overcome all this and move, and do move forward, that, sooner or later, they will find whatever we need, to make us move and go forward in life, which is great.
I personally think, I hope more people look at it this way. I'm not sure to what degree they are, that I think this is kind of a wake-up call for us to take better care of ourselves, because when you take good care of yourself, when you're exposed to something, you're less likely to catch it. And if you do catch it, you're less likely to get very ill. It's no guarantee. And I wish more of our leaders would speak to that.
Yeah, because I think there is a lot of good things that people, if they get their immune systems up, I think that is so important too. Because I know, like with me, just going through the different surgeries that I had, I know my immune system got knocked down, so I do. I take my supplements, make sure I get my vitamin D. I'm taking extra this and extra that so that I can build it back up, plus that will help that person to fight off any kind of viruses that come along, because it is a virus. Yeah. So that is really important. So I know I want to touch on one more subject that we're talking, and there's three things there's four things that I've been putting into the podcast, but not in every one of them. Just as we move along and we talk, and we can go ahead and touch on them. And the three of them, with the fourth one being recovery, but we were not going to go into that today at all. But the the three are to restore to high performance, to renew your freedoms, and to rejuvenate playfulness. And we're talking a little bit earlier before the podcast, and you were saying that you'd like to talk about restore to high performance. And what does that mean to you, Kathleen, to restore to high performance?
Well, what it means is that you are living up to your potential and doing what you enjoy, what you have a passion about, that there's meaning and purpose, and you have good relationships. So you've got everything. Because some people can be really successful with their career and even like it, but something else, their health suffers, or they work, and all of a sudden their spouse comes and says, I want a divorce because I haven't been getting any attention. So it's to have sustained high performance, and it's not just to achieve, but that you actually enjoy it. Some people will say they have done really well in a career, but they don't like it. So it's important to like it too. And because one of the purposes of life is to enjoy it. You don't want to be old and say, oh, I did a lot of things, but I forgot to enjoy it.
Right. And then I know even with myself, even starting to go into the high performance coaching, and I just, what happens with me is I'll just trigger the learn mode. And then what happens too, it's like a snowball effect, because once I go into this learn mode, if you don't take care of yourself, then everything, doesn't work out real well, because sleep patterns go to all the hell. My eating habits go to hell. I'm not exercising anymore because I got to learn. But then why is because and then you're not really enjoying what you're doing. Yeah. So that goes back to what we started at the very beginning, is talking about these habits where we have to take out the bad and put in these good habits in a little bit at a time. But I know it's so easy to fall back, but it's so true. And so we got to really, really every day be really conscious, live in that moment, and to realize what to go, what's going to go forward. I know for myself too, another thing is, like you were saying earlier, is that get prepared the night before. I do. That's what I have to do, is I have to get everything prepared the night before that my day starts. So I know where I'm going, even if I have to cheat and do a little bit of my journaling the night before, just so I know where I'm going to be the next day. I have to switch that time around. So I guess in other words, what I'm trying to say is you don't have to be always regimented either. No. You can switch things up, right?
No, we need some flexibility. Right.
Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and end our little podcast together right there. But before I finish up, underneath this, I'll go ahead and I'll have the show notes. And so Kathleen, do you want to tell how our audience can get a hold of you?
My website, KathleenWright-Knothe.com. There's no hyphen in the web address, and Knothe, Knothe. And I provide, so I do the high performance coaching. And if someone would be interested in checking that out, that they can sign up for a free strategy session, which is really helpful to get some clarity on what they would like to be moving toward, and how they can go about doing that. And there's, again, it's free and no obligation to do anything further than that, but as a way to check it out and see if they would be interested in getting some high performance coaching. I am doing ongoing webinars in these topics on Fridays at 4:00 Eastern Standard Time, so they can check my website for what is currently available.
So anyway, I'm so excited that we got together for today, Kathleen. And if anybody is interested in talking with Kathleen, Dr. Kathleen, that you can go ahead and look underneath for the information in the show notes, and she'll get right back to you, I'm sure. And I'm just so excited that we had our time together today. This was wonderful. And I've learned so much. And every time we talk, I'll tell you what, you're just a wealth of information. You just are really a true warrior when it comes to that. And I just so appreciate that you came on today with me.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
This is wonderful. Okay, thank you. Thank you for tuning into the show. I hope this brought out your passions, ignited you, and inspired you to restart and reclaim your life. Please subscribe to my podcast and feel free to leave a rating and a review. Until the next episode of Seriously Uncork Yourself, you can check out more information at lynnkuhn.com. That's Lynn, Lynn, Kuhn, Kuhn.com. Be sure to tune in for my next episode. Sending you all peace and love until our next time together. Seriously Uncork Yourself.